just give you a bite of the sweetest pie. Ooh, baby, we can go fast. I'm driving, you just lay back. I got the flavor, the last, yeah, the sweetest pie. I might take you home with us, I might give you all. Come get your clothes up, the sweetest pie. Ooh, it's the ride of your life. Hold on, cause baby, I might just give you a bite of the sweetest pie.
Baby, bet, ayy, couple racks, ayy, couple Grammys on him, couple plaques, ayy, that's a fact, ayy, throw it back, ayy, throw it back, ayy, and this one is for the champion. I ain't lost since I began, yo. Funny how you said it was the end, yo. You know we did it again, yo. I told you long ago on the road, I got what they waiting for. All run from nothing, dog. Get your soul, just tell them ain't laying low. You was never really rooting for me anyway. When I'm back up at the top, I wanna hear you say, you don't run from nothing, dog. Get your soul, just tell them that the break is over. Need a couple number ones, need a pick on every song. Give me like one with Nicky now. Tell a rap nigga I don't see it, huh? I'm a pop nigga like people, huh? I don't fuck bitches, I'm quiz, huh? But these nigga bitches let me deal, yeah, hey. All they do it, ain't fall off, I just ain't release my new shit. I blew up, man, everybody trying to sue me. You call me Nas, but the hood call me Doobie. And this one is for the champion. I ain't lost since I began, yo. Funny how you said it was the end. You know we did it again. I told you long ago on the road, I got what they waiting for. And dog, get your soul, just tell them ain't lay low.
Return to the back, get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking the news. Get up, first shot, strap body, a little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious, somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. No, y'all can't copy it. Bad, moonwalking, this here is a party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music, I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on that stage light, going shine up and down. Got that Bob Barker suit game with Blink over my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, I'm my INDEPENDENT shit hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the portrait busting. Halfway across that city with the black question. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment. Tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back. This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us, hold us.
I'll pull you in, I'll pull you back to what you need initially. It's just one call away, and you'll leave him your loyal to me. But this time I'll let you be. 'Cause he seems like he's good for you, and he makes you feel like you should. And all your friends say he's the one, his love for you is true.
Why does he know you call me when he sleeps? Or does he know the pictures that you keep? Or does he know the reasons that you cry? Or tell me, does he know where your heart lies? Where it truly lies? You should be with him, but let you go from time. You should stay with him, cause he seems like he's good for you. And he makes you feel like you should. And all your friends say he's the one. His love for you is true. But does he know you call me when he sleeps? Or does he know the pictures that you keep? Or does he know the reasons that you cry? Oh, tell me, does he know where your heart lies? Where it truly lies?
Tell me what you want, what you like, it's okay. I'm a little curious too. Tell me if it's wrong, if it's right, I don't care. I can keep a secret, kid. You got my mind on your body and your body on my mind. Got a taste for the cherry, I just need to take a bite. Don't tell your mother, kiss one another, die for each other. We're cool for the summer. Take me down into your paradise. Don't be scared, cause I'm your body type. Just something that we wanna try. Cause you and I, we're cool for the summer. Tell me if I want, if I did, what's my price? I just wanna play with you too. Even if they judge, rock it out, do the time. I just wanna have some fun with you. Got my mind on your body and your body on my mind. Got a taste for the cherry, I just need to take a bite. Don't tell your mother, kiss one another, die for each other. We're cool for the summer. Throw back with no chaser, with no trouble. Popping that moe, baby, let's make some bubbles. Puffing on that gelato, wanna be seeing double. Gotta do what you gotta believe. We ain't got no plans to leave it. Tell all of your friends to be here. We ain't gotta sleep all weekend. Oh, you know. Okay, hi everybody. Hi everybody. Thank you for joining us for tonight's webinar. So if you can hear me loud and clear, please put in the chat, say hi, so that I know that we are all connected. Sorry, today we are trying out a new system. So there might be lag time or different things like that I'm not aware of. So if you can put in the chat, say hi, so that I know that we are all connected. Right, so today is a very interesting format that we are doing, right? So it's our first ever Facebook Live that we are trying, Facebook and YouTube Live, right? So hopefully this will give you a greater sense of engagement between ourselves and you guys, right? But this is the first time I'm using this software. So if there's anything that if the thing is not so smooth, please pardon me. We will get better with time, right? So if you can hear me loud and clear, please put in the chat, say hi. Please put in the chat, say hi. Okay, as usual, if let's say you find that your friend is also considering to do any property investment, or want to hear more about how to analyze new launches, feel free to share the link with them. Yeah, so feel free to share the link with them. You can watch this thing together, right? Okay, so today I just want to introduce the organizer behind today's live webinar, right? So today this webinar is put together by Gex Global Group. So under Gex Global Group, we have a few entities, one of which is Gex Academy. So Gex Academy, we have a approved training organization license approved by the Singapore government, and through that we are able to conduct WSQ program, skill future approved programs, and whatnot, right? So, and also another big part of the company is that we are very focused on real estate. So under Gex Global Assets, we have a arm that where we do our own developments and our own investments into real estate properties, right? So another part of the business is under the global consultancy and also the technology business. So as a company, we won many awards. We are ranked one of the fastest growing companies by Enterprise 50 Awards. We are also ranked one of the Singapore's fastest growing companies by Straits Times and also by the Financial Times, right, in the whole of Asia. So as a company, we focus a lot in terms of giving back to our customers, our students, and that's why we won the Share Investor Awards for Most Preferred Financial Educator. And also we have the Asia Pacific Customer Service Award under the Customer Relationship Excellence as well, right? So as a company, we focus on giving back as well. So we also won the Champions of Good Award multiple years in 2017, 2018, and also 2020, right? So as you can see, if you go on Google, you'll see that we are one of the most reviewed Singapore Academy on Google reviews, right? So there's lots of very good things that are saying about us. So I thought of since this is the first time that we are sharing this Facebook Live or YouTube Live, I thought it would be better to give you some context about the company, about myself. So myself, I'm a director at Gex Global Group at Gex Academy. So today we are very excited to share with you our analysis on the Liv MB, right? So in fact, this analysis might be a bit late now because the preview happened over the weekend, but in fact this analysis we have done with our students, our community, actually last week, right? So to prepare them for, if let's say the analysis last week, so to prepare them if let's say they would like to go for the preview, at least they know what they are getting into, right? So today we're covering off some of the investment advice. Today is not about investment advice. Today is purely sharing about opinion, and a lot of the things that we cover off you can find on the internet. Is that we put together this webinar to really share with you education on how to invest into properties very successfully, right? So hi, investing Bali, right? So today we are investing in Singapore, not in Bali. Okay, so anyway, it's so wonderful, right? Internet connects everywhere, everybody over the world. It'll be very interesting to know if anybody is joining us outside of Singapore. If you are outside of Singapore, you can just key in the chat, put in the country that you are in. If let's say you're in Singapore, you can key in Singapore, right? So today, as we share along the content, the webinar, feel free to also put in the chat which if you have any questions or you want me to elaborate more on certain points, right? So we keep it as interactive as possible so that you also get the maximum value out of today's session, okay? So anyway, today we are covering off a new launch analysis, right? Which is at Liv MB, is at Mountbatten, District 15. So as you can see, I use this as a hero picture of the development, right? So I think the development itself is going to be beautiful, right? So it looks like Bali, right? So we have somebody who is in Bali tuning into a Singapore property analysis, but this itself looks like a Bali resort, right? So this development, later we'll touch on a bit of the points of this development, how the developer intends to bring this development to life, right? So that is very interesting. So just to introduce the developer behind this project itself, the developer behind this project itself is called Bukit Sembawang, okay, Bukit Sembawang Estates Limited. So as a Singaporean developer, they've done lots and lots of projects. And in fact, when we check online, we found that they are actually ranked one of the top 10 developers in Singapore, right? So the screen might be too small, but I just point out to you, if I can point, I can pull out my pen color, right? So if I can pull out my pen color, okay. So in fact, Bukit Sembawang is ranked top 10
and in fact, it's a top 9. It's the 9th developer in Singapore. So this means that I think the quality of this project that they're going to build, they're going to deliver, is going to be very beautiful, right? So later we touch on what is the developers' plans to really transform this development. How are they intending to include a lot of livable area, a lot of recreation facilities in the estate itself, right? So some fact sheet on the project itself. Okay, so this project name is called Liv MB. So by the way, just out of curiosity, right? So if since we have a bit more interaction, so if let's say you have went down to the preview over the weekend, or if you have put in a check to go and bid for this project, you can put in a chat, or you can privately WhatsApp DM us, right? So I just want to, out of curiosity, I just want to see how hot this project is, right? So if you have seen the paper recently, you will know that this project itself has I think over the weekend 75% have been sold, right? So 75% have been sold. The prices is incredible, right? The prices was on average about $2,300 per square foot. Okay, so later on in this webinar itself, we will analyze whether at $2,300 per square foot, can you really make money from this project itself, or would you be better looking at the surroundings or looking at other projects which maybe you can make more money, hopefully, right, through investing in other properties, or maybe this property itself can make you the most money, right? So how many of you want to know that you can whether you can make money or not from this project? Can you chat say yes? Can you chat say yes? So I know that, hey, actually I'm talking to people behind the screen, because sometimes the figure that we are seeing in this view count sometimes might be people, sometimes might not be people, right? So recently Elon Musk, he also tweeted that there's a lot of bots on the Twitter account, right? So before he buy over Twitter, he wants to get rid of the bots, right? So this is the first time we are using this software, so it's good to have some interaction. I know at least there's someone from Bali, so it's very, very interesting, right? So anyway, this project itself, the fact sheet is Liv and MB. Developer, just now we have mentioned, is Bukit Sempawang Estates Limited. It's in District 15, right? So District 15, if you are living in Singapore, you know that District 15 is something very, is a district that is quite prestigious in Singapore context, right? So typically Singaporeans like to buy properties in 9, 10, 11, and also District 15, right? So that is something that is, this is in the district. So this is the address, 114 to 114D Arthur Road, right? So later we'll cover off this on this land itself, how the developer acquired this piece of land, right? Is it on the GLS, government land sale, or is it a en bloc land sale, right? So which one is better, you think? Is it a government land sale is better, or is an en bloc sale better, right? If the developer bought the piece of land over a government land sales, do you think that the developer can buy it for a cheaper price, or if they en bloc this project, whether the property is of a cheaper price, right? So it's some questions for you to think about. Of course, later we will work out with you through mathematics. How do you estimate the developer's break-even point, and also a break-even cost per square foot, and also whether they are pricing this project at a reasonable price or not, right? So that is all mathematical formula. You can if you know how to calculate, you can calculate it properly, right? So this is a site area. The number of units about close to 300 properties in the development itself. So I would say it's not the smallest project, but it's not the biggest. It's like small to medium size kind of development, right? And the expected TOP is 4th quarter 2024, right? So it's about how many years away? Today is already 2022, so it's probably about 2.5 years away to complete, right? And the tenure itself is 99 years from 2021, right? So it's a 99 years leasehold project. So if you are familiar with the area itself, so let me see. Ambassador Bali said, my daughter study in Singapore, looking for opportunity to buy property in Singapore. Gex YouTube is one of the best information. Thank you so much, Investing in Bali. So today we will share with you a lot of information to help you become a better investor, right? So that is expected TOP date, completion date, as well as the tenure wise is a 99 years project, leasehold project. And you want to see whether in the surrounding, if you are familiar with the area, whether you will know that this development itself is surrounded by lots and lots of freehold private property, landed property, right? So is in terms of price comparison wise, how does it fare, right? So this one is a leasehold project as compared to a freehold project. how does the prices fare, right? So it's also an important consideration. If you are an investor, you need to have all this knowledge before you make a investment decision, right? So just to cover off, this is the location itself, right? So the project is over here. Okay, so this piece of land was bought by the developer. Okay, I think they en bloc the previous development is called Katong Park Towers, right? So they en bloc that site. Later we'll cover off some information how much they paid for to buy up the site, right? So they en bloc the existing development and then do a lease top up to extend the lease, and that's why. And now voila, they are selling the units here at a 99 years leasehold commencing from last year 2021, right? So very interestingly is that this property itself, you can walk to the upcoming Katong Park MRT stop, right? At just 3 minutes away. So just 3 minutes away, you can walk to the Katong Park TEL line, right? So it's an under construction line. This line itself will be estimated completing by 2024. So probably going to be in time when the development is up, the MRT line is going to be up as well, right? So everything will be built. So basically over here itself is at District 15, right? And also very interestingly, opposite the road, there is a famous preschool, for example, like Eaton House Preschool, International School, Eaton House International School, Chongqing High School, which is a secondary school, and also Damen High School itself, right? So over here, if you hop onto the ECP, you can go to ECP in a short while time if you drive, and from the ECP you can actually get into the town very quickly, right? So it's right at the city fringe itself. So location-wise, I think is in a very good location, right? So that is the thing. So at the end of this webinar, we'll be also ranking for you how we think that this new development fares in terms of its scoring, right? So if you are still looking to get into this development or considering properties in the surrounding, we help you to we help you to shortcut your research by giving you the information itself, right? So something that is very important if you look at the location itself to be a successful property investor is that you must if let's say you are looking to invest, right? So you must also consider eventually your rental potential as well as your exit potential, right? So exit potential is that eventually when you want to sell the property to the next buyer, they must buy with the same kind of characteristics that you are today looking at, right? So today, maybe you're considering to buy here for own stay, right? So you buy here for own stay. Why? Because, for example, your kids might be studying in the surroundings. You might buy it for the convenience, right? So very high chance the next buyer that you sell to, they might be buying and they might be looking because of the convenience, and that's why you can then sell to the next guy, right? So that is something for your consideration. And also, when you want to buy in a project itself, you got to also think, if let's say you are buying for investment, you want to rent out the property, then it's not so much about your own desires or your own wants, right? So if let's say you are buying to rent it out, so you should consider, for example, your tenants kind of wants, tenant kind of needs, right? So where are they going to work at, right? So the closer to their workplace, the easier they get to the workplace. This is somewhere that they will consider. And the tenants, sometimes they are families, right? Families have kids. So importantly, there must be surrounding. There should be schools, good schools, the best, good schools nearby, and also food choices and all these things, right? So over here, there's also the famous old airport road food center, right? So food choices is not far away. And there's just a lot of things here, right? So location-wise, I think it's ranked quite high on our scoring system. So this is an upcoming thing, right? So Singaporeans, we love to buy properties that is near to the MRT station and also the upcoming MRT station, right? So over here, it's 3 minutes walk to the Katong Park MRT. So this is the Thomson East Coast Line, which is under construction at the moment, right? So over here, it takes about 5 stops to Marina Bay and also 6 stops to the Shenton Way CBD, right? So that is something that in terms of connectivity itself, I think it's fantastic, right? So this is the concept plan, how the developer intends to build up the site itself, right? So over here, the developer plan for 80% in terms of recreational space and also spaces for living, and the remaining 20% of the space is used for residential thing. So in other words, 80% you can see all the greenery, all the recreation, the gym, the pool and other things, and the remaining 20% of the site itself, they're going to build the properties on top of it, right? So in terms of living wise, if you're considering to live there yourself, I think it's going to be, you're probably living in the garden itself, right? So it's going to be very, very interesting, right? So we look at some shots in terms of the facilities. So over here, the facilities wise is the ground floor itself. There is the pool, right? And on top itself, there is also another pool, like the sky pool itself, right? So there's two pools. And over here, there's the yoga yard, there is the lounge, there's the jacuzzi pool, and a lot of different things, right? So like I said, the developer, I think when they're developing this project itself, they had the intention to develop this development more for own stay, right? Because if you look at the location itself, you will see that towards in the location itself, there's a lot of landed properties, a lot of older condos in the vicinity, right? So this development has a natural catchment of people looking to maybe who love the area, right? So they are looking to maybe either right size their property or downsize their property. So they sell their landed, sell their older property, then move into this new development and stay, right? So I think this development itself, the developer is planning for more own stay people. And that was the analysis we did last week, right? So over the weekend, I saw the news article that just came out. Over the weekend, about 90% of the buyers were actually buyers that is living in the area, right? So it is really for the people who are staying in the area itself. They love the area, and then they want to continue. They want to buy something newer in the area, so they go and buy something in this development, right? So that is also something very interesting. So over here, I would say the facilities, everything is going to be beautiful, right? So you can go there and enjoy. So the developer plan for 80% nature and recreational, and 20% residential, right? So you will see big fields, the pool, the recreation facilities, and all these things. So this is the view coming in from the entrance. You look down, so there's a nice gentle sloping slope downwards, and then you can see the pool and also the lounge. I think this is the clubhouse, right? So over here is artist impression. So over here, another view, right? So from one tower looking at the other tower, you will see the view itself. This is the sky, the sky pool, right? So it looks like a bit of an infinity pool kind of concept. So over here. And also very importantly, so I think as a development wise, you can always head into their show flat, right? Go and see how the look and feel of the materials. But like what I said earlier on, right? So the developer is one of the top 10 developers in Singapore. I think the build quality, the design, all these things going to be top notch, right? So that is important. But very important is this: if you see that there is a lot of facilities in development, and a development size like about 300 units itself, something that you might be considering is that you might be worried of is whether the maintenance, right? So if you buy a private property over here, you need to pay what we call a MCST fee, right? So to maintain the site, you need to maintain the pool, maintain the gardens, and all these things, right? So at a small to medium size kind of development, about 300 units, this small to medium size. So we might be thinking to ourselves that, hey, as investors, whether the MCST fee is going to be high, right? Because there's two pools, lots of greenery. If there's more units to pay, then you pay lesser, right? So if there is only 300 units, maybe the MCST is going to be high. The good news is that this development itself, later we'll go through some numbers, is that the MCST fee, I think, is reasonable, considering the number of units there are in the development and the facilities the developer is delivering, right? So that is interesting. So as an investor itself, we also got to look at this development itself, right? What is the surroundings, right? So what is surroundings? What is going to happen? So when what is going to happen, we focus on the master plan, right? So it's good to trace back to the master plan and see what's happening into the area, right? So this development itself, maybe I jump into the conclusion, is that this area is quite matured already, right? So there's not much new developments going to come in, right? So, but if you look at the Kampong Bugis master plan, it traces up all the way to the Kallang River, right? So they're going to do a lot of rejuvenation to the greenery, going to add in a lot more greenery, a lot more cycling parks, creating more lifestyle element, which is important, right? Because if let's say you are living there, right? So if you're living there these days, if let's say you want to go out to cycle or go out to take a walk, you want to go out in very, very green space, very interesting space to walk about, right? You don't want to walk into a concrete jungle once again, right? So that is what this place actually offer you, right? So over here, there is a Kampong Bugis master plan, right? So this Kampong Bugis, basically, beginning of the year itself, the Singapore government actually announced there's going to be a white site release in the Kampong Bugis area. So everybody got very excited, or maybe I got very excited, because it was a big piece of white site land, right? So it's a big piece of land. Then we wanted to study whether how this land will affect the prices in the surrounding itself, right? Surrounding properties, whether there's still opportunities surrounding this white site. So just out of curiosity, since I've been rambling on for a bit, how many of you know what is a white site? What is a white site? So if you know what is a white site, you can key in the comments while I go and take some water. Okay, how many of you know what's a white site? If you know what's a white site, you can put into the chat so that we know where is your property knowledge. Interestingly, my water bottle is also white, okay? But anyway, white site, just for your information, a white site is a piece of land whereby the developer can choose to build different things, right? So you can build residential, commercial, hospitality, different things, right? But at the end of the day, it has to still submit to URA for them to approve. Yeah, so why I stand correct? So multiple use, right? So interesting. Okay, so yeah, so that is the white site. It was supposed to be launched this year, available for developers to bid. But recently I saw them pull out the white site because they were saying that the land needs a bit more time before they can be ready, right? So the government pull off the land, they don't allow it to be what we call released for sale, right? So that is a Kampong Bugis, but still the land is still kept there, still made available for once it's ready. The government will sell this piece of land to the developer to transform it, right? So when it transform, it's going to be very attractive. It's going to be, it's really a big piece of land. So I don't know how it will turn out, but it's going to be amazing, right? So it's a stone throw away, right? So this is something upcoming. And then there is also the Kallang Airport, which is surrounding. We'll have the mixed-use lifestyle hub. Then in the area itself, there's, like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be lots and lots of greenery, a lot of sports, because the sports hub is nearby, you know, that kind of things. Okay. And there is also a green plan for East Coast. So I don't know whether I should mention this joke, right? So recently I saw this meme talking about what is the finally Singaporeans, we know what is the green plan all about. Okay, what's the green plan all about? I mean, if I have the time, I will pull out the meme to show you guys. But anyway, that's a separate topic. Now we are live. I don't think I should crack this kind of joke. But anyway, the green plan for East Coast, right? So there's going to be a 15 km green corridor that connects East Coast Park all the way to Changi Beach Park. Okay, and then there's also a Bay East Garden that's going to be opening in 2027, right? In the vicinity, it's going to create lots and lots of greenery, lots and lots of outdoor spaces, right? So this is the interesting part. It might be a bit small on the screen, okay? So now we understand the development itself. So when we look at the property itself, we start with the developer. So we understand who is the developer, right? So if the developer is not good, don't buy, right? If the developer is okay, can consider. But if the developer is good, it will worthwhile a second glance, right? So then we also look at the master plan, the location surrounding what's going to happen, and also the master plan wise, what is the new developments that's going to happen in the area, right? So at the end of the day, now we are going down into the pricing of the development itself, and whether at this pricing level itself, whether we can still make money from the development itself, or is it better to consider other developments? That makes sense, right? So, okay, so how do you evaluate the pricing? It's very straightforward, right? So if you know how to do it, you will know how to pull all the data, how to pull all the numbers together to do the analysis. Okay, let me just explain. So a developer is in it for profits, right? So, I mean, the developer also need to make a margin for themselves for doing the work, for pulling all the pieces together, okay? So the developer will put up the development from the site itself. So let's look at what are the various costs that the developer will incur, right? So for example, when the developer buy the land, he will need to pay for the land, correct? So there will be a land cost. And this is in this project itself, the developer bought the land from an older development. Okay, so the older development is called Katong Park Towers. Okay, so they en bloc the site and then basically bought over the piece of land, and basically now they are putting a new property on top of the piece of land itself. Right, so the land, there is a land cost. So sometimes if the developer buy a freehold land, they don't need to do what we call a lease top up. Okay, so that means because they bought over this piece of land, the land tenure was running down, right? So the developer actually went to make an application to increase and top back up the years of the lease itself. So when they want to top up the lease, what they need to do, they need to pay the government some money to increase back the years on the lease, on the land title itself, right? So the land, there's a land cost, there's also a lease top up. Okay, so this is the first cost, land cost. Secondly, when they want to build the building, when they want to build the development, they incur construction costs, right? So because they have to put in the garden, they have to build in they have to put the bricks in, the pilings and all these things. So there's also a second cost called the construction cost, right? So the third thing is that there is also some professional fees, legal fees to pay. You need to pay the architect, you need to pay the quantity surveyor, all these professional. So what we call a professional cost. Fourth kind of fees is, for example, there is the financing, right? So if you can see on the right hand side, it might be a bit small. Okay, so there is a land cost, there's a construction cost, there is the professional cost. Okay, there's also the financing cost. Okay, so financing costs. So fourth is that when the developer want to build this piece of project, they will take a loan, right? So when they take a loan, the loan will have interest. So when there's interest, they need to service the interest, right? So there's an interest cost. Then eventually there's also marketing costs, right? So basically there is people who is standing in the show flat. When they build up the show flat, it also costs money. So they will need to pay off the agents, need to pay off the show flat and all these things. So at the end of the day, this piece of estate itself, the estimated break-even cost is around $1,800, right? So $1,800 for the developer to break even. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, right? So a developer is here to make a margin, right? They need to make a margin for themselves. So at a break-even cost of $1,800 per square foot, so this means that to make a margin, they need to increase the price that they sell at, right? So they need to increase the selling price, right? So if we look at it, anywhere between 15 to 20%, I think it's still reasonable. So basically, if we add in the developer's margin, if it's a 15% margin, so this means that they're going to sell this project about $2,100 per square foot. If they have a 20% margin, so they need to sell at about $2,200 per square foot in order to make a margin, right? So this is the kind of prices that before that even they announce the estimated launch price, we already know approximately they're going to sell at this kind of pricing already, right? So basically this is the margin pricing. So let's compare now from our own research that in order for the developer to break even and also to make some margin, okay, whether when they eventually launch the project itself, did they launch at an okay, decent price, or was it overpriced, right? So how many of you so far, you are following me, okay? If you are following me in this webinar itself and you think that, hey, this is something interesting, just key in the chat, say yes. Just key in the chat, say yes, so that I know that we are still connected and I'm still making sense. I think the very important question is that I'm making sense, right? So I'll take a sip of my water. So if we are connected and I'm making sense so far, key in the chat, say yes. Thank you, YS Tan. Okay, so I don't know whether you're my friend, okay, but thank you for responding. Okay, so anyway, I can pull out the comments, so it'll be quite interesting. Okay, so basically we look at it from a break-even point of view. And also when we put in the margins, we know that they should price anywhere between 2001 to 2002, right? So that is the kind of margin that we estimate them to make. So basically before the launch, once again, it has already launched over the weekend, right? So if you have went there, you went down to the show flat, you went down to queue, maybe it's also share with us your experience, right? So that is something interesting. So before the launch itself, the estimated pricing for a one bedder is about close to about $2,200 per square foot. 2 bedrooms is close to about $2,300 per square foot. 3 bedrooms is about $2,000 per square foot. 4 bedrooms is about $2,200 per square foot, right? So that is the estimated kind of pricing. In terms of pricing wise, I think they're not as aggressive because we already did the forecast. We know how much they need to break even and how much they need to make a margin of. And importantly, right now, the climate, because of the rising interest rate environment, the rising construction cost environment, we are also seeing that developer is also taking some risk in terms of developing this new development. So they might be also pricing those risk in as well. So investing Bali say yes, thank you so much. Okay, so basically this is the analysis. Okay, so this development was launched over the weekend. Okay, so they already achieved more than 75% sold. Okay, and they sold at an average price about $2,300 per square foot. So I would say yes, it's quite okay, reasonably priced. But the important question is whether at this pricing itself, whether you can buy other projects and make more money, right? So that is the important question that we want to answer ourselves. So if we look at the project mix itself, we look at the one bedder, right? So the one bedder itself is about 13% of the development, okay? And the pricing wise is about $2,200 per square foot. But very interestingly is you look at the maintenance fee, right? So the maintenance fee per month, like I mentioned, in this development, about 80% is going to be built for recreation space, the pools and everything. 20% is for residential. So for a one bedder, the monthly maintenance fee of about $340 per square foot, I think it's not very aggressive, right? So I think it's still reasonable because it's not a big development. You are actually you're actually subsidizing the you are actually covering the cost for the whole development, right? So that is not very aggressive. But we look at the two bedder is about 38%. The 3 bedroom is about 40% of the development. 4 bedder is about 9%. So from if you look at this unit mix itself, you will understand that this development itself is probably more targeted at own stay people, and specifically the people who is staying in the surroundings, right? So they are looking to right size their properties to move in, right? So that is before they launch, you look at what the developer is planning to do, you sort of can get a sensing of what they're going to do, right? So why Stan say yes, $2,300 plus $2,400 per square foot on average. Yes, this is the pricing, right? So that is the pricing that they sold at. 75% have already sold. So now it's interesting, right? So after we analyze all these things, at the end of the day, we want to look at whether this project itself has good investment potential itself. Because whether you buy this property to stay or for investment, you want to make sure that you buy a property that in the future or foreseeably in the future, you would know that you will make money, right? So I think that is everybody likes this, right? Eventually, even if you stay over time, that you stay in the property itself, over time, it can still make you the money. That's the best, right? So we're going to look at the investment potential of this development itself, right? So how many of you want to know the investment potential of this project? If you want to know the investment potential, what we think from our research, keen to chat, say yes, keen to chat, say yes, so that I also know that you are as interested as I am, right? So we want to look at this development. We want to know that it's beautiful, good developer, good location. But at the end of the day, whether the key question is whether we buy this project itself, whether we will make money or won't make money, right? So that is an important consideration. So how many of you want to know whether this project itself, whether you buy, you can make money or not? Keen to chat, say yes. Keen to chat, say yes. Okay, this software, I think there's a bit of lag time. So that's why sometimes your comments come, but I already move on to the next topic already, right? So it's investment potential. Okay, so we look at this. Okay, so where we want to consider whether there's other better buys to consider. But before we do that, I just want to do a short shout out. Okay, if let's say you are thinking of investing in properties in Singapore or all over the world, okay, specifically in Singapore, right? So some of the consideration you might have is this, right? So first and foremost, here you already figure out that the prices in this area itself is about close to about $2,400 per square foot. Okay, but what if I want to show you a place in Singapore where I think it's going to be the next hotspot, where you can still buy at about less than $1,000 per square foot or lesser, right? And these are private properties that we are talking about, right? So in terms of less than $1,000 per square foot, in terms of the potential, this place is already selling at $2,400 per square foot. So I think there's arbitrage difference here. And after all, Singapore is such a small place, right? So if it's, and this year itself, we are seeing a lot of private properties, the new launches, they're going to come on at about $2,000 per square foot upwards. So if you can buy something at $1,000 per square foot, resale properties, I think there's a good scope of growth, but of course, don't anyhow buy lah. So we will show you our analysis, our research itself, where we think is the next Singapore hotspot, where you can still buy for less than $1,000 per square foot private properties, right? And also, interestingly, is that because of property investment, it takes some time to mature. But very importantly is that we want to make sure that we can make at least $100,000 at the point of entry, okay, not at the point of sale, right? So we want to make sure that we can buy and make at least 100,000 or more at the point of buying rather than reselling, right? So how can you make sure you can do that? And very importantly is this, right? So we have lots of cooling measures, like for example, the ABSD, TDSR. Recently, they just announced another ABSD on the living trust, on the trust account. So how do you make a 5-figure passive income with limited resources without incurring the ABSD and TDSR, right? So if you're considering all these points, you want to learn where you can find out these few spots, right? So I welcome you to join us, right, for our upcoming property investment masterclass, right? And the title is very straightforward, right? How do you buy the right property or right properties to retire early and retire rich, right? So you can join us in 2 sessions. One is a in-person session by Dr. Patrick himself, right? So over here is on Thursday. Both sessions is on Thursday. One is both is this coming Thursday. The timing is 7:30 p.m. So you can join us in a physical in-person session conducted by Dr. Patrick himself. Our office venue is above Novena MRT, right? Or you can join us on an online session, which will be done through webinar like that, done by myself, right over here, okay? But if you attend the physical in-person session itself, if you just show up, okay, we give you a $10 Grab voucher. Once you stay in all the way to the end, we'll give you a $10 Grab voucher to compensate you, or rather to reward you for your time, for taking time out to come down and join us and learn. And on top of that, if let's say you are bringing 1 to 2 friends to come and join the session itself, we'll give you $20 voucher, Grab voucher as well, right? So this is also for you. After the seminar itself, you can go and have a dinner, supper with your friends, right? So all in all, if you come down, you get $10. If you bring 1 to 2 friends, you get $20, right, to join us for this physical in-person session. So over here, you also get a free gift from us, right? So we also do a lot of research, a lot of homework on the Singapore property itself. So we'll give you a analysis in Woodlands itself, whether there's still opportunities in Woodlands and whether you can pick them up, right? So you come down, you can receive this free gift. Okay, so that's just a short advertisement. So if you are interested in joining us for the sessions, so let me just post this link. Okay, so basically you can use this 2 link and then register for our session. Okay, so now it's important, right? We want to go through and see whether this project itself, whether we can make money or not, right? So if we look at this development versus the whole District 15, the properties, we want to see whether the pricing here, we already know it's pricing at about $2,300 per square foot, or rather $2,400 per square foot. We want to compare it with the median sales, and the median rental in the whole District 15 itself, right? So if we look at why we use the median and not the average is because median is the middle, right? So it's the middle. That means 50% of the transaction is more, 50% of the transaction is lower, right? In terms of rental, it's the same as well. 50% is more, 50% is lower. So that's why we use the median kind of benchmark. So when we look at the District 15 median sales, we realize that 1 beta is going for about $988,000. Okay, so close to $1 million, slightly below $1 million. Okay, so we compare this District 15 median as compared to Liv MB median. Okay, we see that the quantum difference between District 15 median as compared to Liv MB median is about anywhere between 9% to 30% more, right? So for this Liv MB project itself, it's about 9% to 28% higher as compared to the median, which is understandable because as a new development, typically the prices is a bit higher as compared to the surroundings, right? Because new property, new costing and all these things. So I think 9% to 20% is still acceptable. Okay, but if you look at the bigger size units, that's where the difference really stretches out, right? So for example, the 3-bedder. Okay, so the 3-bedder, if you compare Liv MB as compared to the District 15 median, you will see that the quantum difference is anywhere between 50% to 64% higher as compared to the surroundings, right? So that means that if you buy Liv MB, a bigger size unit, you're paying anywhere between 50 to 60% more as compared to the median in the whole district itself. Okay, but of course, as a successful property investor, you don't compare the whole district because it's not really a apple to apple kind of comparison. You want to compare, for example, in the 1 km radius. Okay, if there is other types of property, okay, as compared to your own development, you want to compare the prices, right? So for example, we found in the 1 km radius of Liv MB, there's lots and lots of freehold properties, right? So if you look at the maps itself, these are all the freehold properties in the surrounding 1 km, right? So anybody like to make a guess, okay, whether Liv MB pricing is cheaper or more expensive than the freehold properties in the surrounding. Okay, so you got to understand, Liv MB itself is a 99 years project. Okay, so it's a 99 years leasehold project, but surrounding itself, there's also a lot of freehold properties. Okay, so I'm asking a question. Okay, so at Liv MB itself, now we know the launch price about 2,400 per square foot. How much per square foot do you think the freehold properties within 1 km of the facilities, how much you think they are going for? Okay, so it's anywhere between, for Liv MB, the average PSF pricing is about $2,200 to $2,400. How much do you think the freehold properties in the 1 km radius, how much do you think they are going for in terms of the PSF? Come in the chat, let me see some answers. How much dollars per square foot do you think the freehold properties in the facility is being priced at, right? So how much is the PSF, right? So it's an interesting exercise. But why I want to do this exercise is because through this webinar, I want to train your mind on how to do the analysis, how to do the comparison, right? So when you can do analysis, you can do comparison yourself, then you can make the judgment call yourself, right? So over here, Liv MB itself is a 99 years leasehold property, right? So the average pricing is about $2,200 to $2,400 per square foot. If we compare the freehold properties in the surrounding area, okay, the freehold properties is going for about $2,000 per square foot. Okay, so if you are an investor or you are considering to buy Liv MB itself, it might be something for you to consider. Hey, why not I consider surrounding the freehold resale property? Because over there, although it's a bit older, okay, but I'm paying cheaper as compared to the new launch, and the new launch is a 99 years new launch. I'm buying freehold cheaper than the new launch, 99 years. Does that make sense? So it might be more interesting to figure out, to see whether the freehold properties, whether there's value in the freehold properties. So we also look at another upcoming new launch in District 15 itself. Is this development called the Atlasia, right? So Atlasia itself is also another freehold new launch. Okay, so David mentioned $2,000 per square foot. Yes, correct. So Atlasia itself is also launching at about $2,000 per square foot. So if you look at it, of course, not apple to apple comparison, because Atlasia itself is all the way into Joo Chiat area. This Liv MB area is at the Mountbatten area, but it's still within the District 15 itself, right? So if you are comparing new launch to new launch, you might want to consider new launches that is freehold, right? So there's another freehold new launch in the District 15 at $2,000 per square foot. So if you put that all into perspective, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, is there good investment value if we buy into Liv MB itself, right? So next, we look at the branded school effects, right? So like I said earlier, if you want to buy into property, you must also consider eventually when you want to exit, what kind of exit potential you can get, right? So something that you might be interested in buying this project, or your potential buyer will be interested to buy this project, is that they want to consider whether it's close to schools and Singaporeans love projects or love properties that is close to branded primary school itself, right? So that is something that we always like to buy. Okay, so and especially for branded primary school itself, we want to make sure it's within 1 km, because within 1 km you can actually you can get better chances to get into the primary school that you want. Okay, so for example, here within the 1 km radius itself, there is no popular school. Okay, no popular school. The popular schools, for example, like Kong Hwa, Tanjong Katong Primary School, they are about 1 to 2 km away. Okay, but the more prestigious school, one of the top 10 primary schools in Singapore, like for example, like Tao Nan. Okay, Tao Nan is actually 2 km away. Okay, so this 2 km mark, why is it important? Because like I mentioned, for your kids to get into the school, typically if it's within 1 km, you get higher priority. If you're alumni ogre, it's even higher priority. But if you're living within 1 km, it also increases your chances of your kids getting into the school. So if you see properties near branded primary schools, they are usually hold their value very well, because it's easier to transact off, right? So makes sense. So 1 to km first priority, then next is about 1 km to 2 km, then after that, then outside of 2 km, right? So that is the sequence of priority. So if you look at this project itself, Liv MB, if it's out of the 2 km mark from the Tao Nan school, then the natural question is to see, if it's properties within 1 km around Tao Nan, what kind of prices are they going to be like, right? So if we look at the prices 1 km around Tao Nan, we can see whether it's better price as compared to Liv at MB, or rather if we go for Liv at MB at a premium, whether it makes sense, right? So that is the basis of the consideration. So when we look at the resale properties, which is about 1 km from Tao Nan, okay, in terms of the radius itself, we look at the average PSF of Liv at MB, which is 99 years, it's about $2,200 per square foot. So we compare the freehold properties, once again, freehold properties, which is around 1 km radius of Tao Nan. We realize that the average PSF of the freehold properties is around $1,400 per square foot. Okay, but granted, these properties is about 17 years old, okay, on average. So it's a bit older, but a bit older, you just need to spend a bit more money to do up the place and all these things, right? So to invest some money. But the pricing gap for freehold as compared to 99 years leasehold is about $600 to $800 or even $1,000 per square foot, right? So if you are looking at something of value, you might as well consider something about 1 km from Tao Nan itself, right? So that's another pricing point for you to take note. So we look at the exit potential itself for the HDB upgraded effect, like I mentioned earlier. So in the surroundings, okay, is more the landed properties itself in the surroundings. So the HDB itself is all clustered at this site or this site itself. But interestingly, if you look at the completion years of the HDB, it's actually a bit older. It's not the fresh MOP kind of property projects. So basically, the people who are staying in this HDB itself, they are also stay there for some time. They like the area and they might not be considering to upgrade to live at MB, right? So that is something, I think the effect of the HDB exit potential is not as strong. Okay, so we look at the live at MB, the new developments itself. Very interestingly, opposite the road over here, this piece of land is subjected to detailed planning, right? So over here, they're subjected to detailed planning. So you can see over here, there's potential for this area to transform. Okay, but this piece of land itself, if you drive by, you'll see that it's existing landed area. So we need to maybe acquire the piece of land in order to develop. So it's also something to consider. Okay, so over here itself, you will see here, this is a new launch. Okay, sorry, not new launch. This is a new piece of land that is up for GRS land. Okay, GRS land sale. So over here, if you look on the next slide itself, you will see that this is a Dunman Road GRS land sale. So over here, it will cost about $1.3 billion to buy over the piece of land. So analysts are forecasting in this piece of area. So over here, analysts are forecasting that they are going to sell, the developer is going to sell at $2,500 per square foot, because earlier I already shared with you how to calculate the break-even cost, the margins, and all these things. So you know this piece of land over here, it's a bit of walk right? Upwards is a GRS land sale. So over here, they are going to price it about $2,500 per square foot. But in this piece of land itself, it is also closer to Kong Hwa School, right? So Kong Hwa School is, I think, the top. Let me go back to my notes. Kong Hwa School is top 20 schools. Okay, top 20 schools in Singapore itself in terms of primary school. So it's one of good schools as well, right? So over here, this Diamond Road piece of land, okay, it is about 0.3 km away from Kong Hwa School, right? So that is something to consider. But pricing wise, is more lah, right? So it's about $2,500 per square foot. But very interestingly, opposite the road, we got the Tam Siu. Over here is freehold. So over here, the estimated pricing is about $2,700 per square foot. Over here, Jalan Tembusu is about $2,400 per square foot. So this is another GLS land that was sold at the beginning of the year, right? So as you can see, right now, Singapore upwards, the pricing is about $2,000 per square foot upwards, right? So that is the kind of pricing that we're going to accept as norm so far, right? So that is something to consider, right? So basically, at this day, we do a scoring for the new launch. So we basically look at a few factors. So first factors, we look at the developer, right? So we want to score the developer itself. So the developer itself is one of the top 10 developers in Singapore. So in terms of 5-star, with 5-star being the top ranking as compared to 0-star, the bottom ranking, I think we could give him a 4 upon 5-star, right? In terms of the ranking system. So in terms of increasing demand, we look at the location, the surrounding, what's going to happen. City fringe, there's going to be a new MRT going to come up, right? So, and also there's a whole Kampong Bugis master plan that's going to be transformed. So I feel that in this area itself, it's about 4 stars, right? So we give it a 4 stars out of 5 stars. Next, we look at the launch pricing and the surroundings. So this one itself, in terms of the pricing wise, I feel that this development will score quite lowly. I give it a 2 star out of 5 stars. Why? Because, for example, if we look at the development itself, the surrounding freehold prices is already cheaper, right? So it's a 99 years old leasehold project as compared to freehold projects in about 1 km of the vicinities. The freehold pricing is already cheaper. Second point is this. Second point is that this development itself is not within 1 km radius of Tao Nan School, right? So Tao Nan School is a top 10 schools in Singapore, gifted program. I think the properties in the vicinity within the 1 km radius, they will always have perpetual demand, right? So that is something. And when we went to do the analysis itself, we found out that actually from Tao Nan itself, within the 1 km radius, the freehold properties is going for on average about $1,400 per square foot. But these are older properties, about 17 years old properties, right? But basically, if you buy it, you can still renovate the space, and then you can also basically make it nice, right? So from that perspective itself, I say this development in terms of the return on investment potential, I will give it a 2 out of 5 star, right? So that is my own ranking. Okay, in terms of new developments, master plan itself, the surrounding itself is mostly built up, right? So there's a lot of landed properties, there's a lot of private properties over there. It's mostly built. So over here, we don't see much things going to happen, right? So I give it a 3 star out of 5. There's still a new MRT that's going to come in to the area, right? So that is something that is exciting. Exit potential wise for this property itself, because of the return on investment pricing, the launch pricing itself, I think I give it a 2 star, right? So 2 star out of 5 star. So at the end of the day, the overall itself, I think it's a 3 star out of 5 star kind of ranking. So if you are considering this property, this development itself, if you didn't get in, I wouldn't lose sleep. If you have got in, congratulations. But hopefully you buy it for your own stay. You buy it because you like the surroundings. If you buy it for investment, then maybe that's your own decision, right? So as an academy, we aim to arm you with a lot of information, a lot of research for you to make a better decision in terms of your own property investment journey, right? So basically, at the end of the day, I like to mention this, right? So now, hopefully today, I have given you the sharing and the analysis of this project itself. You make your own decision. But as an investor itself, I think there might be better buys out there, right? There might be better buys out there. And we are very excited to share with you our analysis, our research on where is the better buys, right? So how many of you feel that today's session is quite helpful, is helpful for your own property investment decision? If it's helpful, you can key in the chat, say helpful, see in the chat, say helpful, so that we know that, hey, actually we are equipping you guys with good property information, good knowledge to help you to become a better property investor, okay? And how many of you want to know whether there's other better buys, whether there are other better buys to consider? If you want to know where are the better buys to consider, key in the chat, say yes. Key in the chat, say yes, so that I know that you want to also know that there are more better buys to consider. So Giselle say helpful, thank you so much. Okay, so do join us, do subscribe to us on our Facebook or on our YouTube channel to really help you to become a better property investor, right? So we are building the team now to really pull out the content. Thank you, David. Thank you, Giselle, right? So we are putting out the team to help you to become a better property investor through our sharing, through our videos itself, right? So we are coming all this content, which is going to happen soon, right? So are there better good buys to consider? So just to mention, okay, so basically if you join us for the Thursday, either the webinar or the in-person session, we'll cover off these few points. First and foremost, where in our research we found the next Singapore hotspot where you can still buy at properties, private properties, that is still less than $1,000 per square foot. Okay, so like here, over here, you're already buying about $2,400 per square foot. At a hotspot area, if you can buy in at less than $1,000 per square foot, I think there's a good scope of potential income, right? So that is at half the price of here. Okay, so next, you can make at least, Leslie, hi Leslie, long time no see, thank you so much. Okay, so so over here, we on the Thursday sharing session, we also want to equip you with analysis on how you can at least make $100,000 when you buy, rather when you buy instead of when you sell. Okay, so Giselle say, can you post the link here? Yes, I should have done that. Okay, so over here, the physical in-person session, you'll use this link to register. Okay, the webinar itself, you can use this to webinar. Okay, the online webinar, you can use this to register, right? So over here, you can use these two links to do the posting. Okay, so Giselle asked the question, can you paste the link here? Yes. Hopefully you already received the links on the physical in-person session and also the online session itself. So over here, we'll cover off some points. For example, where is the next Singapore hotspot where you can buy less than $1,000 per square foot in terms of private properties, and where and how you can at least make 100,000 and above when you buy and not when you sell, right? So that is the next point. Oops, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Let me go back to my screen. Okay, so yeah, oops. Already gone through this. Okay, so where make $100,000 when you buy before when you sell, right? And not when you sell. And then the last point is that how do you make a 5-figure passive income with limited resources without incurring ABSD or TDSR, right? So these are all the topics we're going to cover on the Thursday session. It's at 7:30 p.m. You are welcome to join us for a physical in-person session. And in an in-person session, we have a bit more time to really talk to you, interact with you, and also help you out in your property investment journey, right? So if you join us for the physical in-person session, to reward you for coming down, okay, we'll give you a $10 Grab voucher if you just show up. If let's say you bring 1 to 2 friends to join us for our in-person physical session, you'll get up to $20 in terms of Grab voucher. So for you and your friends, after the session, go for a good supper, go for a good meal, right? So if you want to join us for the Zoom webinar, the speaker is myself, Raymond, right? So you can join us. It's at 7:30 p.m. itself as well, right? But for the online Zoom webinar, there won't be a Grab voucher, right? So, but you get the convenience of tuning in from your home, right? So that is the session itself for Thursday, okay, at 7:30 p.m. Okay, so today, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat Okay, feel free to put a chat so that we can have some interaction, because today is really the first time that we are doing such a session. So hopefully helpful. You guys found the today's session helpful, right? And today, because of the new system, I don't know why my mouth is also just jump up, right? So if not, if you have any question, feel free to put in a chat. I will leave the chat a bit for Q&A. So if any questions you'd like to ask and whatnot, feel free to put inside a chat so that we can pick it up. If not, thank you so much for joining us for today's live session. So we will see you very soon. Hopefully, we see you this Thursday itself. Right. So this Thursday itself, 7:30 p.m. There's an in-person physical class, or at 7:30 p.m. there's a Zoom webinar conducted by myself. Right. So if you would like to join us, we will share with you all these topics that I went through earlier. Right. So to make sure that you spot the next Singapore hotspot where you can buy at below $1,000 per square foot. And also you can make at least $100,000 when you buy, not when you sell. And how do you get a 5-figure passive income with limited resources without incurring ABSD or TDSR, right? So the slides are all blurry to me. I'm not sure if it's my network. Okay, so Giselle will give you a digest. Okay, if you'd like to get a digest of today's webinar. So if you'd like to get a digest of today's webinar, you can email to admin@gagsacademy.com. Okay, then we'll give you the digest. Okay, so today is a information session. Hopefully you found today's session helpful, and we aim to help you to become a better property investor, right? So if you have other further questions, feel free to put us in a chat. If not, thank you so much for joining me for our first ever Facebook and YouTube live. Hopefully you enjoyed today's session. Hopefully I gave you a lot of value, and do join us for our next live session as well, right? So hopefully we can do more, then hopefully we can reach out to more you guys. So as usual, if you find it helpful, feel free to share with your friends. Feel free to invite your friends as well to come for the Thursday session. So if not, this is me, Raymond. I'm signing off for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's webinar. Right? So if you have any other further question, feel free to put inside the chat. I'll leave the room for a little while before I will close the room. Thank you so much and have a good evening. Thank you.
Making that bread and butter. Tell me that I just love some couple few pills and couple few champagne bottles. On that money, I can just wonder. Keeping up all that summer, making that bread and butter. Tell me that I just love some model. Some model.